For decades, families in China and Japan believed a college degree was the key to a better life. It was seen as a ticket to upward mobility, a stable career, and financial security. Parents urged their children to study hard, get into top universities, and secure stable, well-paying jobs. In both countries, the pressure to succeed academically is immense. China's Gaokao and Japan's entrance exams are famously grueling, with families investing years and significant savings into their children's education. But today, that promise feels empty for millions of young graduates. In 2023, China's youth unemployment rate soared above 20%, the highest on record. In Japan, nearly 40% of young workers are stuck in non-regular precarious jobs with little security or benefits. They aced exams, earned degrees, and entered the workforce, only to find low wages, unstable jobs, and soaring living costs. In cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Tokyo, rent and daily expenses eat up most of a young worker's paycheck, leaving little room for savings or independence. Many are forced to move back in with their parents, not by choice, but out of necessity. In China, the term full-time children has emerged, describing graduates who rely on their parents for support while searching for work. In Japan, the parasite single phenomenon, adults living with parents into their 30s, has become increasingly common. The dream of independence, owning a home, starting a family, feels out of reach. In Shanghai, the average price of an apartment is more than 40 times the average annual salary. In Tokyo, many young people delay marriage and children because they simply can't afford it. These young people did everything right, but the rules have changed. The job market is saturated, automation and outsourcing have reduced opportunities, and the cost of living keeps rising. Their struggle isn't personal failure, it's a sign of a system that no longer delivers on its promises. Real-life stories abound. A top graduate in Beijing working as a food delivery driver, a Japanese university alum juggling 3 part-time jobs just to pay rent. The question now, what does success mean in a world where education no longer guarantees security? For many, it's time to rethink what a good life really looks like. The old blueprint, study, graduate, get a lifelong job, has vanished. In the 1990s, Japan's salaryman culture and China's rapid industrial growth promised stability for those who followed the rules. But that era is over. Today's job market is dominated by short-term contracts and gig work, not stable careers. In China, over 200 million people, nearly 30% of the workforce, are now in flexible or informal jobs. In Japan, the number of non-regular workers has doubled since 1990, reaching nearly 40% of the workforce. Entry-level salaries lag far behind the cost of living in cities like Tokyo and Shanghai. For example, the average monthly rent in central Tokyo can eat up more than half of a new graduate's paycheck. In Shanghai, starting salaries have barely kept pace with soaring housing prices. Young workers are expected to be flexible, but that flexibility comes at the cost of security. Many, like Li Wei in Beijing or Yuki in Tokyo, find themselves piecing together multiple jobs just to get by. Saving money or moving out is nearly impossible when every paycheck is already spent. In Japan, over 50% of people in their 20s have less than $1,000 in savings. In China, many graduates are forced to live with parents well into their 30s. The traditional milestones of adulthood, independence, family, home, are slipping away. Marriage and birth rates in both countries have hit record lows as young people delay or abandon these goals. Graduates are left wondering, if they followed the rules, why aren't the rewards there? Many feel betrayed by a system that no longer delivers on its promises. The reality is a harsh economic landscape no one prepared them for. Experts warn that unless major reforms are made, the gap between expectations and reality will only widen for the next generation. Student debt is a heavy burden for today's graduates, shaping not just their finances, but their entire futures. As government funding for universities shrank, tuition soared, forcing many to take out large loans just to attend school. According to Dr. Lee, an education policy expert, the cost of higher education has outpaced wage growth for years, leaving students with few options but debt. Before their first paycheck, they're already deep in debt. Take Yuki, a recent graduate from Tokyo, who says, "I started my first job already owing more than I could imagine. Every month, most of my salary disappears before I even see it. Loan payments eat up much of their modest salaries, making saving or investing impossible. It feels like I'm running in place," says Chen, a young professional in Beijing. "No matter how hard I work, I can't get ahead." This debt limits choices, forcing graduates to accept any job, stifling ambition and risk-taking. Experts warn that this cycle can trap an entire generation in jobs they dislike, simply to keep up with payments. Unlike their parents, who started adult life debt-free, today's youth begin at a disadvantage. "My parents could save for a house in their 20s, Yuki reflects. "For me, that feels impossible." The psychological toll is immense, fueling anxiety and limiting dreams. Mental health professionals report rising cases of stress and depression linked to student debt. Student debt isn't just a financial issue, it's a barrier to independence and opportunity, shaping the lives and hopes of an entire generation. Having your own place is a symbol of adulthood, but for many graduates in China and Japan, it's a dream slipping further away each year. In cities like Beijing, Tokyo, and Shanghai, the average price of a small apartment can be more than 40 times the average annual salary of a new graduate. Skyrocketing rents in major cities mean even tiny apartments eat up most of their income. In Shanghai, for example, rent for a one-bedroom can consume over 60% of a graduate's monthly paycheck. Upfront costs, deposits, key money, agency fees are insurmountable for those with little savings. One graduate, Yuki, described saving for 2 years, only to realize she was still short of the required deposit for a modest apartment in Tokyo. Living with parents becomes the only option, but it often feels like a step backward. In China, over 50% of urban graduates now return home after college, a phenomenon known as full nest youth. The lack of privacy and autonomy strains family relationships and personal growth. One young man in Beijing says, "I feel like a guest in my own life." Without a place of their own, other milestones, relationships, marriage, starting a family, are delayed. Many couples postpone weddings or children, waiting for the impossible, affordable housing. The housing crisis isn't just about money, it's about being stuck in limbo, watching life move forward for others while you wait. Independence, once a rite of passage, is now a distant dream for millions of young people, one that feels more unattainable with every passing year. The modern workplace in China and Japan is defined by relentless pressure and long hours. For many, the workday doesn't end when the sun goes down. Terms like 996 and karoshi reflect a culture where overwork is the norm. As one graduate puts it,
"I leave home before sunrise and return after midnight. There's barely time to eat, let alone rest."
graduates work exhausting hours for wages that barely cover basic expenses. Many are forced to live in cramped apartments and rely on cheap takeout. Job security is gone. Short-term contracts and gig work are the new reality. One gig worker shares,
"Every month, I worry if I'll have enough gigs to pay rent. There's no stability."
Many juggle multiple jobs just to survive, leading to burnout and chronic stress. The hustle never stops. There's little time for rest, hobbies, or relationships. Life becomes a cycle of work and exhaustion. The sense of being disposable and undervalued is widespread. Even managers admit turnover is at an all-time high. Mental health suffers, with anxiety and depression on the rise. Support services are overwhelmed. The promise of a rewarding career has been replaced by a struggle to stay afloat. As one graduate says,
"I studied hard for years, but now I'm just trying to survive."
overwork and insecurity are draining the vitality of an entire generation. The cycle continues, with no clear end in sight. For many graduates, moving back in with parents isn't just a financial decision, it's an emotional journey filled with mixed feelings of relief and disappointment. In societies like China and Japan, where independence is increasingly valued, returning home can feel like a step backward, a silent admission of defeat. The loss of privacy and autonomy creates daily frustration and tension. One graduate in Beijing describes feeling trapped between two worlds, expected to act like an adult but treated like a child. Parents, often confused and concerned, may question their child's choices, unintentionally adding to the stress. In Japan, some parents worry about their child's hikikomori tendencies, social withdrawal that can last for years. Graduates feel stuck, no longer children, but not fully independent adults. Psychologists note this in-between state can lead to identity confusion and a sense of lost purpose. The stigma of failure to launch is powerful, especially in cultures where success is measured by leaving home. This can lead to isolation, shame, and eroded self-esteem. Social withdrawal and embarrassment are common. One young woman in Tokyo shares, "I stopped meeting friends because I didn't want to admit I was living at home again." The emotional burden is heavy, fueling anxiety and depression. Experts warn that prolonged dependence can deepen feelings of hopelessness and delay emotional growth. For many, returning home is a daily reminder of dreams deferred and the difficult path to adulthood in today's world. For decades, just work harder was the go-to advice for anyone struggling to get ahead. In the post-war era, especially in countries like Japan and China, relentless effort was seen as the key to personal and national success. But today, that advice is increasingly out of touch with reality. Modern graduates are already working longer hours than previous generations, often juggling multiple jobs or side hustles just to make ends meet. According to labor economists, the average workweek for young professionals in Asia has steadily increased, while job security has declined. Experts point out that the real problem isn't a lack of effort. It's that the economic system no longer rewards hard work with stability or upward mobility. The link between effort and reward has weakened, leaving many feeling stuck no matter how hard they try. Stagnant wages, skyrocketing housing costs, and unstable jobs are structural issues that hard work alone can't fix. In China and Japan, youth unemployment rates have reached record highs, and the dream of homeownership is slipping further out of reach. Telling young people to simply work harder ignores these realities and unfairly blames them for problems rooted in policy and economics. Sociologists warn that this mindset perpetuates generational divides and deepens feelings of frustration and inadequacy. This outdated advice not only fails to help, it can worsen mental health by fueling shame and burnout. Studies show that young people are experiencing record levels of stress and anxiety, not because they aren't trying, but because the odds are stacked against them. The path to success isn't blocked by laziness, it's blocked by a system that no longer delivers on its promises. As one labor expert put it, "We have a generation that's doing everything right, but the rules of the game have changed." Real solutions require addressing the root causes, like labor reform, affordable housing, and fair wages, not just demanding more effort from those already giving their all. Only then can we build a future where hard work truly pays off. The greatest harm of this crisis is the isolation it creates. But across China and Japan, young people are finding ways to come together. Many graduates blame themselves for their struggles, feeling inadequate and alone. Yet, stories are emerging of communities supporting each other, like the mutual aid groups in Beijing, where young people pool resources to help with rent and job searches. This is a collective experience. Millions face the same challenges. In Japan, surveys show that over 60% of recent graduates feel underemployed, and nearly half have joined peer support networks. Recognizing this turns shame into solidarity. Community groups, both online and offline, are helping young people realize they're not alone. Community and mutual support can combat isolation and foster resilience. In Tokyo, a group of graduates started a co-working space to share costs and ideas, inspiring others to do the same. The narrative must shift from "I am failing" to we are facing a broken system. Data shows that youth unemployment rates in both countries have reached record highs, but collective action is growing. Your worth isn't defined by your salary or living situation. It's defined by your resilience, your kindness, and your willingness to support others. These struggles are symptoms of larger economic forces, not personal shortcomings. The numbers prove it. You are not alone. Solidarity is the first step toward change. Together we can build a future where no one has to face these challenges alone. The struggles of today's graduates demand a new definition of success, one that's both practical and inspiring. The old path, good grades, top university, corporate job, is no longer a guarantee. But new opportunities are emerging for those willing to adapt. It's time to question the systems that created this crisis: rising tuition, unaffordable housing, insecure jobs, and to take proactive steps, upskilling, building networks, and exploring alternative paths. Success may now mean prioritizing balance, relationships, and fulfillment over status or income. Many are finding meaning through community involvement and personal growth. Young people are forging new paths: entrepreneurship, moving to smaller cities, remote work, and creative careers. Take the story of May, who left a big city job to start a sustainable business in her hometown, or Kenji, who built a freelance career online and now mentors others. The social contract must be rewritten to reflect today's realities. Get involved, join forums, advocate for policy change, and support each other's ambitions. Empowering this generation starts with honest conversations, mentorship, and collective action. Seek out mentors, share your journey, and lift others as you climb. Only then can education become a true stepping stone to dignity and opportunity. The future belongs to those who dare to redefine success and help others do the same.